Welcome to Beers with Bob.
Volume 2.
Volume 2, cheers. I am Motown from RJsFro. This is the legendary Bob Chandler. And this is actually my debut interview on camera. Bob, the Padres are 31-20. Best record in the National League. What are your thoughts for the first third of the season?
Well, I'm thrilled that they're doing this well. And you know, as we were discussing earlier, the most impressive thing to me is that they seem to be winning almost every series they've played. I don't know how many series they played this year, 16 or 17. They probably won 13 or 14 of the series. I mean, they haven't swept them all, but 2 out of 3. So that shows me that they've been consistent. And I think that's what happens when you get a pretty good performance, sometimes a great performance from your starting pitcher almost every time out. And then the bullpen has been not the best in baseball, at least among the top 2 or 3.
Absolutely. The pitching staff has been, I think they are the best in baseball right now. What is the biggest surprise so far for 2010?
Well, I would say the excellence of the pitching staff. I mean, I thought the pitching staff would be good, but I didn't think it would be this good. I mean, it's been spectacular, and obviously it's the pitching and solid defense that's enabling them to win so many of these series, because they're not a good offensive team.
Absolutely.
They're a bad offensive team.
Very bad.
The only positive there to me is that they figure to get better. I mean, they still have a lot of young guys. Kyle Blanks, I expected to have a pretty good season, and he hasn't had a good season. Will Venable's been okay. He's had his moments, but I expect more consistency out of him. Nick Cunley has been terrific. He's a better catcher defensively than he was last year, and his offense is much better. And he and Torrealba, I mean, that's an outstanding catching core right now. Adrian Gonzalez, last year at this time, he had 20 homers and 40 RBIs. He's far from that now.
Right.
But you know the numbers at the end of the year are going to be there, so that's a positive. And the way David Eckstein is playing at second base is outstanding.
True, this team has been very surprising, especially the pitching staff.
Okay, we're recording again.
As tradition with Beers with Bob, the battery dies on the camera, so we got to keep that going. That happened last time. So anyway, first place, 31-20. We want to maintain this up until the All-Star break, and then we might start seeing some believers out of the national media, which still seem to put us as a team that's going to fall down the tubes. What do you think the Padres need to do to maintain first place, stay competitive? What do you think we need to do to...
Well, the offense has to improve. Over the long haul, the offense has to improve. But I think there's hope there, because I think when you look at the young players on the team, the only ones who are performing at or better than you expected maybe are Nick Hundley, Chase Headley, but Will Venable is going to improve. I think Kyle Blanks is going to improve dramatically. I really like Chris Denorfia, who they've called up. It looks to me like he knows how to play the game.
RJsFro favorite, Chris Denorfia.
That's right.
No, I didn't know anything about him until I saw him play when he was called up, and I like a lot of what I see. Plus, Everett Cabrera, who I thought was going to be a key to this team, hasn't really been able to play much because of his leg injury, and he'll be back presumably within a couple of weeks. So there is hope for improvement on offense, and I think probably the organization is going to look that way before they make a move and trade away some of their good young prospects to bring in a bat for a year.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be trading away prospects. It seems to be homegrown players. That looks to be the philosophy of Morad and Hoyer so far. This has been the year of pitching, in my mind. We've had 2 perfect games and no-hitter. What are your thoughts on that? We've only had 20 perfect games in the history of baseball, and 2 of them have been in 2010.
And you almost had a third. Remember, Matt Latos.
So
gave
close.
Up a hit on a ball that went off his glove. I mean, it's exciting to see what he's doing. I mean, from what we saw last year to what we're seeing now, he looks like one of the best young pitchers in the game. And the only area in which you have to be careful is not to overuse him this year, because he's still a very young pitcher, and you don't want to overuse that arm while he's young. So, pitching-wise, if the Padres sustain an injury to their starters, well, there's Tim Stauffer. Who knows about Chris Young? I mean, I don't think they're counting on him this year, but maybe if the health improves.
Right.
Well, I mean, what an addition he would be as a shot in the arm for the last month or two of the season.
That would be nice. You always can use more pitching. This is the first season of Dick Enberg. I know he's a friend of yours.
Yeah.
He's a legend. What are your thoughts on how he's handled the first third of the season so far up in the booth?
Well, I think the area in which Dick needs to improve, and I think he would tell you this himself, is that he's been away from baseball for a long time. And Bo, you worked for the Padres for a while. You know, if you're away from baseball, even for a couple of days, things happen. You have to catch up. He's been away from it for 25 years. And when he was involved in the day-to-day operation of baseball, it was with the Angels in the American League. So his background in the National League and the Padres is not deep at all. And that can only take time. But Dick is a terrific guy and a professional announcer, and that will come. The more he does it, the more that will come. There are so many situations that occur during a ball game where if he knew Padre history or knew the National League, he'd be able to pull up an example or talk about this or that. And he doesn't have that knowledge yet, and he knows that. He knows that.
Right.
But it will come because he'll work hard at it.
Right. Isn't that the great thing about baseball too? Any day, any game, anything can happen. Right? There's going to be something out there that you'll never see before, or it'll never happen again. So, actually, let's go on that. This will be our last question here with the.
But hold on, you just need to tell Dick to read your book so you can brush up on Padres history.
Exactly. So, in your career as a broadcaster, what was the most craziest thing that happened on the field that you witnessed in person?
Well, there have been a lot of. It's hard to pick one out, but it was interesting. The other day on the telecast, they did a This Day in Padre History, and it was about a game that took place 40 years ago, and it brought back a flood of memories because I broadcast that game, and it was a game at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Juan Marichal started the game for the Giants, one of the best pitchers in the history of the game. The Giants stake into an 8-0 lead. Padres end up winning the game 17-16 in 15 innings.
Wow.
It took 5.5 hours to play the game, and we had a doubleheader the next day that took less time to play than that one game. And it was one of the earlier games I ever televised for the Padres. And Duke Snyder was my color man, and I was just thrilled to have the Duke, one of the legends of the game, as my color guy. Well, I needle him about this because I remember Duke left in the 8th inning to go down on the field for the post-game interview. Never came back. And the game went 15 innings.
What was he doing the whole time?
Well, it was one of those games where the Giants kept loading the bases with nobody out. And you thought, well, the game's going to end here. They need is one run. And they wouldn't score. And it would go on. And the Padres finally wanted when Steve Hunts hit a 3-run homer in the 15th inning. And the Giants came back with 2 runs in the bottom of the inning to make that final 17-16. It was a wild, crazy game.
Wow. Well, on that note, thank you, Bob.
Hey, my pleasure,
Bob. Cheers.
And thank you, pal.
No problem.
All right.
Till next time.
Here's to the cameraman.
All right. RJsFro, Beers with Bob. We'll see you next time, guys.
All my neighbors are fast asleep, and I can't find anything to drink. Mackenzie's drank all the grain alcohol, so I'm headed down the street to First Call.